Shai by Hashem Kudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well, enabling the word and doctrine. Shalom and peace, may that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. So, on the end time headlines, very useful. Some of the articles are hit or miss, but some of them are very useful for hitting certain prophecies, certain things that were told aforetime that would happen. Things that are whether verbatim, for example, this wars and rumors of wars, this would fall under, uproars of the people, tensions, is what's implied, things surrounding it. But then you also have, MOTB technology, totalitarian government control of people, so on and so forth. These things that were written, are warned about, to the point where people would, fight back against, push back against, where it talks about they'd have no regard for the kings or the princes. Well, without further ado, it says North Korea carries out simulated nuclear attacks and occupation against South Korea. So this again would fall under wars and rumors of wars. Just as North Korea said Thursday, its latest missile launches simulated scorched earth nuclear strikes in South Korea, and there has also been rehearsing an occupation of its rival territory in the event of conflict. Pyongyang has previously tested nuclear capable missiles and described how it would use them in potential wars with South Korea and the US, but the North's disclosure of detailed war plans reaffirmed its aggressive nuclear doctrine to intimidate its opponents as it escalates its protest of the ongoing South Korean-US military exercises they have used as a major security threat, observers say. Of course, that would be headed towards the idea of a proxy war, a potential proxy war. If South Korea and North Korea ever got boots on the ground, then it would be aid, support from other countries that would, be doing it more time than, America flying in themselves. That's how a lot of is working in Russia, Ukraine. A lot of aid is given rather than, sending a vast amount of troops down there to get boots on the ground. Because that would be what, as Biden said one time, that would be World War III. To get involved directly. Since North Korea's military said it fired 2 tactical ballistic missiles from the capital on Wednesday night to practice scorched earth strikes at major command centers and operational airfields in South Korea, according to the official Korean Central News Agency. The North's military said the missiles carried out their simulated strikes through airbursts, suggesting it confirmed the explosions of dummy warheads at a set altitude. North Korea said its missile tests were response to the United States flyover of long-range B-1B bombers for a joint aerial training with South Korea earlier Wednesday as part of the Allies' field exercises. The aerial drill is a serious threat to North Korea, as it was just pursuant to the scenario for a preemptive nuclear strike at North Korea, the Korea People's Army General Staff said. The KPA, Korean People's Army, will never overlook the rash acts. 1 minute, I'm trying to work out what that means. Right, I'm going to ignore it for now. So here, it says the KPA will never overlook the rash acts of the US forces and the South Korean military gangsters. The missile launches Wednesday with the latest in the North's barrage of weapon tests since last year. According to South Korean and Japanese assessments, the 2 short-range missiles traveled a distance of 360 to 400 kilometers, which is 225 to 250 miles, at the maximum altitude of 50 kilometers, 30 miles, before landing in the waters between the Korean Peninsula and Japan. That's all on the article. So Matthew chapter 24, what are the signs of the times? We hit this all the time every week, but the scriptures don't change. So let's get it. Matthew 24, starting at verse 1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, right, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Whilst these are necessary, we won't get to the time of the end, we won't get salvation, except these things come to pass. Right, the only way out, is death. The only way out prior to that, if you die in the Lord, if you sleep, as it's written, with true faith in Yahushua, and you're one of the elect, then you'll be brought back when Yahushua returns, the resurrection. That's the only way out, death. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through and experience these things, these tests. It says, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And I touched on 2 Ezra 16:15, 16:18 in the last lesson, but we'll hit it for real. So 2 Ezra 16:17, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Which is a sideline that does prove that reincarnation, is a biblical concept. It's true, it's real. Because why would he ask who delivering him in those days, knowing, this is a time in the future to come? It said, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, which, that happens when famine specifically happens, especially when we live in a globalized economy as today. Everyone is interdependent. So wars, tensions, sanctions, could very realistically be what bring this about. That's why it says, we know in part, prophesy in part. We know what's written, we don't know exactly how it will manifest. But we look at what we've got in the news, we look at what we've got in the scriptures, and we put them together, and explain in our minds, how it will go down, speak as men. But honestly, it's not until it happens, unless it's written with certainty, we can only speculate. For example, the MOTB must happen, right? Wars, rumors of wars must happen. But the specific way it happens, it comes about, it's not written verbatim. Tribulation and anguish, you can already see that. Verse 20, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals should be so good cheap upon earth, they shall think themselves to be in good case. As if you see fuel goes down, hella, this goes down, that goes down, don't think, oh right, it's the end. What was those Israelites on about? The Bible's nonsense. This is written. They shall be so good cheap on earth, they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So there's a tricky, difficult time to come still. Right, so I'll leave it there, just a quick news update. On to the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.